Hey guys, how's it going? It's 8-Bit Eric. Today we're going to talk about the Xbox Series X. So there are some publications, some journalistic websites, media moguls, things like that. They're getting access to early Xbox Series X tests. So these people are getting to actually take a look at the hardware, try it out, and just basically see what it's all about. So it's kind of interesting still that even though we do have some specs with Xbox Series X and even the PlayStation 5 itself, there's still a lot of stuff that we personally haven't found out, a lot of information that hasn't been out there yet. So reading these news articles and seeing different publications basically publish reports that show different test results and demonstrations and stuff like that, it's actually really interesting. I'm personally excited for this next console generation. I can't wait for it. I'm looking forward to get my hands on the Series X itself and play a little bit of the games that are coming out. So if you guys are brand new to the channel, if this is your first time, hit that subscription button. Is down here, the red little button. Click that bell so you don't miss any updates. Trying to keep up to date with all the headlines for the Series X as well as the PS5 and Nintendo Switch. So if you guys want to come along the journey, let's do it. So let's go ahead. We're going to take a look at this article. This is from extremetech.com. It says early Xbox Series X test praise SSD, backwards compatibility, etc., etc. So it says Microsoft has given some publications free rein to publish reports on the Xbox Series X, or at least on certain features of the Xbox Series X. These are not full reviews, so keep in mind just certain little demos that they got to do with the SSD and stuff like that. This ain't full-fledged reviews yet. I'm sure there's a lot of embargo with that, but they say they specifically focus on the Xbox Series X backwards compatibility, which is what I'm most interested about with the Series X, is the backwards compatibility, being able to go back and play some of my older Xbox games, because man, I just think backwards compatibility is such an amazing amenity. Sure, it's not required, but the fact that Microsoft is having it so well done on their Series X, I gotta give them major props for it. Now, keep in mind, this says the Xbox Series S has not been tested or discussed in these articles. So these articles that are going to be discussed or whatever, nobody has tested a Series S. It's only been a Series X, which is the full $499 console. So it says Ars Technica and VentureBeat both tested various aspects of the Xbox Series X's performance in older games and how its SSD impacts these titles. So this is interesting because we're going to see how load times are different, how the games pop in as far as texture popping, different graphical upgrades and stuff. Basically seeing how these games are optimized to run on the Series X, which is very interesting in my book and something that I'm curious to try myself. So first, Microsoft hasn't been kidding about how much the new architecture cuts loading time. So we're going to take a look just for reference. I'm going to have the link in the description if you need a better look at this graph. But this says loading times, Xbox One games. So these are Xbox One games. Save file loaded from cold in seconds. Lower is better. So you're going to see the orange on the bar graph is the Series X. And that is going to be with NVMe 4.0. Then the blue is the Series X with the USB 3.1. And green is Xbox One X with USB 3. Or USB 3.1. I'm sorry. I have trouble reading small text too. So I can imagine you guys might have trouble too. So the games they tested on this graph is Red Dead 2, Halo 5, Ori Will the Wisp, Forza Horizon 3, and Borderlands 3. So looking at this, green is Xbox One X loading times. And this is in seconds. So you can see right here, save file loaded from cold. Looking at Red Dead 2, it took 68 seconds for it to load on a Series X. 119 on a Series X with USB 3. Xbox One X, 159. So that is like, what, half? Almost half? About half if my math is off or on. Little lower than half on the load time. Halo 5, 31.5 seconds. 64, 79.5. So from an Xbox One X to an Xbox Series X with the NVMe, that's a huge cut. That's actually really exciting. Will the Wisp, 40 seconds, 72, 119. That's a big chunk right there as well. And then, of course, Forza Horizon, 43 to 96. That's still about half right there. Borderlands 3, look at this. It's from 213.5 seconds cuts down to 89 and cuts down to 56.5. So it's clocking in some serious fast load times here for some big games, especially Red Dead. That's really impressive. So it says Red Dead Redemption loads in 42% the time it took previously. Halo 5 loads 60% faster, while Ori is 3 times faster. Borderlands 3 is nearly 4 times faster. Even better, all these games also show improvements when played from a USB 3.1 HDD, and the gains are still appreciable in every title. Keep in mind these comparisons are against an Xbox One X. In every case where the Xbox One X is faster to load than the Xbox One and S, the improvements would be consummately larger. So this is the Xbox One X that they're gauging on, the green. So this ain't a regular Xbox One. So that's something to keep in mind. So obviously, if you just had an original Xbox One, it would be even greater as far as how it clocks in. So my guess, the author says, my guess is that the improvements in USB 3.1 performance over the Xbox One X was related to the CPU. The interface itself should be running at the same speed. I'm not going to swear to it, but this test ought to be a very rough proxy from how moving from Jaguar to Zen 2 has improved storage performance. It says ours technically includes some title-by-title analysis. Pubg is faster, but still struggles to maintain a 60 frames per second frame rate. GTA 4 now runs at a rock-solid 6 FPS, up from a wavering 50 FPS on Xbox One. Final Fantasy 14 or 15 can hold a steady frame rate in 1080p Lite unlock mode, where the Xbox One reportedly stuttered. Ours published a pair of screenshots that demonstrate the visual improvement from Xbox One to Xbox Series X extremely well. So here is Xbox One cropped to 1080p. Here's the Xbox Series X crop. So Xbox One cropped to 1080p. Xbox Series X. So you can see a slight difference. Meanwhile, over at VentureBeat, the reports are similar. Final Fantasy loads in 13 seconds. No Man's Sky loads in 30, down from 79. That's actually a huge improvement because No Man's Sky definitely suffers from a lot of loading. Quick Resume allows you to leap from game to game in seconds, and it can hold multiple games simultaneously. So the Quick Resume feature seems like it's working pretty good. Ours reports that it appears to be capable of juggling 10 to 12 older games and expects that number to be lower with new titles due to a larger NVMe footprint required to save their states. So this is save states where you can actually quick resume your games almost. Kind of like what Switch has almost, where you can just leave the game open and go to the home or rest mode, but better. Currently, the console does not warn you when a title will be pushed out of quick resume, which hopefully will be addressed by future updates. VentureBeat writes that copying games from external archive storage to the primary console is also fairly quick and gives some benchmark times for the operation. So here we go. We got moving Assassin's Creed Origin from an external USB 3.0 SSD to internal is 218.53. From external USB 3.0 HDD to internal SSD, 746.03. Internal SSD to external SSD, 433.10. Internal SSD to external HDD, 1036.78. So this is by VentureBeat. They also posted performance graphs for multiple games comparing the direct FPS performance to Xbox One to the Xbox Series X. So you can see this is for Sekiro and average FPS. So we got 37 for Xbox One X. Xbox Series X has 60. So higher is better. That's almost double. Both articles praise the machine while withholding final judgment for full review. So they didn't do a full review of this. This is just, a test demonstration. So it says Microsoft designed the Xbox Series X to address the shortcomings that developers and gamers have had to deal with since 2013. The weak CPU that has held back world design and simulation complexity. The old laptop-style hard drives that slowed down the interface in the games. And the I/O architecture that would bottleneck even an internal SSD. All that is why I've veered so hard into PC gaming in 2015. And I'm hoping that the launch of the Xbox Series X will enable us to bury those tired old machines. So that's their sentiments. So definitely seems like a lot of interesting information here. If you guys want to check out the article, again, I will leave the link down in the description below. It's exciting, in my opinion, to see how much hardware has come. Both Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5 seem like they got a lot of neat little tricks of the trade to do in order to make, I guess, the quality of life and the loading times and everything as far as the gaming experience go better on this next console generation. So I'm excited for it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Subscribe if you haven't. Again, little red button down here. Enable your bell notifications so you don't miss any updates. I'll see you guys on the next one. Have a great day.